Catherine Reed was not just a successful businesswoman, she was a symbol of discipline and unwavering belief in hard work. She built her company from the ground up, sacrificing countless nights of sleep and dedicating herself fully to its success. For her, there was a simple rule: those who work hard will be rewarded. This philosophy shaped everything in her company, from the office layout to the strict work culture. Her headquarters reflected this ideology, modern, minimalistic, and highly efficient. However, over the past few years, something changed. Despite offering high salaries and maintaining a rigorous work ethic, productivity was not meeting expectations. Employees seemed drained, and the rate of resignations was increasing. Catherine refused to believe that her approach was flawed. In her mind, if someone truly wanted to succeed, they had to push harder. One particular employee caught her attention: Michael Turner. He was reliable, never complained, and often worked double shifts, the ideal worker in Catherine's eyes. But soon, something would happen that would shake her confidence in her own beliefs. Would hard work truly be enough, or had she been blind to a harsh reality all along? Michael Turner had always been an ideal employee, hard-working, punctual, and never questioning the company's demands. He took extra shifts whenever needed and never once asked for a raise. To Catherine, he was the embodiment of her philosophy: discipline and effort lead to success. But then, something caught her attention. One evening, long after most employees had left, she noticed Michael moving cautiously into the company cafeteria. From her office window, she watched as he grabbed a lunchbox from the counter, looked around as if making sure no one was watching, and then quickly left. It was strange. Michael earned a good salary. Why would he take food home, as if it was something valuable? A question formed in her mind, one she couldn't ignore. Was there something going on in his life that she hadn't noticed? Catherine's curiosity took over. She decided to follow him. Throwing on her coat, she left the office and discreetly followed Michael from a distance. He boarded a late-night bus, and she chose to trail him in her car. As the city lights faded and the streets grew darker, she realized something unsettling. The neighborhoods were becoming poorer, the buildings more run down. Finally, Michael got off at a stop near an old, crumbling apartment complex by the waterfront. Catherine parked her car nearby, watching as he disappeared inside the building. At first, she thought she had reached a dead end, until she noticed something through a dimly lit window. Two small children sat eagerly at a table, their eyes lighting up as Michael placed the food in front of them. They ate hungrily, as if they hadn't had a proper meal in days. Then came the moment that shattered Catherine's certainty. "Will you be here for breakfast tomorrow, Daddy?" one of the children asked softly. Michael hesitated. Then, forcing a weak smile, he replied, "Of course, my love." But Catherine saw the truth in his eyes. He didn't know if he could keep that promise. Catherine sat frozen in her car, gripping the steering wheel tightly. The scene she had just witnessed haunted her. The sight of Michael's children eagerly devouring their meal, as if they hadn't eaten properly in days, refused to leave her mind. She had always prided herself on being a fair employer, believing that hard work led to financial security. And yet, here was one of her most dedicated employees, barely managing to feed his family. Her company had been thriving, yet her workers were struggling. It didn't make sense. Michael had been with the company for years. He worked tirelessly, took on extra shifts, and never asked for more. Why was he living like this? A thought crept into her mind, one she had never considered before. Was she responsible for this? For years, she had pushed efficiency, cut costs, and maximized profits, believing that rewarding only the highest-performing individuals was the key to success. But what if she had been wrong? Michael's reality shattered everything she thought she knew, and for the first time in years, Catherine doubted her own philosophy. That night, Catherine lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. For the first time in years, she felt unsure. She had always believed that success came from discipline, efficiency, and relentless effort. But now she questioned everything. What did success mean if the people building it were barely staying afloat? What was productivity worth if it left her employees exhausted, struggling, and unseen? The next morning before dawn, Catherine did something she had never done before. She walked onto the production floor, not as a CEO, not as a boss, but as an observer. She saw workers arriving, their faces tired, some holding cheap coffee cups like lifelines. She noticed the ones who yawned heavily before starting their shifts, the ones whose shoulders slumped from exhaustion. And then she saw Michael. As always, he smiled at his co-workers, greeted them warmly, and jumped into his work with the same dedication as ever. But now, Catherine saw past the surface. She saw the weight he carried, the silent struggle, the sacrifices. And for the first time, when he passed by her and politely said, "Good morning, Ms. Reed," she didn't just see an employee. She saw a man fighting every single day to give his children a life they deserved. She took a deep breath and responded, "Good morning, Michael." And in that moment she realized feeling guilty wasn't enough. It was time to act. Later that afternoon, an unexpected company-wide announcement sent a wave of curiosity and confusion through the office. Catherine Reed had called for a mandatory meeting in the main auditorium. Employees whispered among themselves, wondering what it could be. Was it another policy change? More layoffs? The uncertainty lingered in the air as they gathered, waiting for their CEO to speak. When Catherine stepped onto the stage, the room fell into silence. But today, she looked different. Not the usual cold, calculating executive, but someone carrying the weight of a newfound realization. She took a deep breath and spoke. "I made a mistake." The employees exchanged glances. No one had ever heard her say those words before. For years, I believed that success came from efficiency, discipline, and hard work. And while those things matter, I failed to see something even more important. She paused, scanning the crowd. Last night, I witnessed something that changed me. I saw a man, one of the hardest working people in this company, barely able to feed his children, and I asked myself, how is that possible? How did I let this happen? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Michael, standing at the back, felt his heart race. Catherine continued, her voice steady but emotional. "This company is successful because of all of you, and yet some of you are struggling just to survive. That is unacceptable." She straightened her posture, her tone turning decisive. "Starting today, things will change." Gasps filled the room. Catherine outlined a series of changes. Salaries would be re-evaluated and adjusted to reflect the true value of the employees. Childcare benefits and healthcare support would be implemented. A new emergency assistance program would be created for employees in financial distress. Silence hung in the air. And then, slowly, the first clap, then another, and suddenly the entire room erupted into applause. Michael stood frozen, his eyes stinging. He never expected this. He never thought someone like Catherine Reed would care. As the crowd cheered, Catherine felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not just pride, purpose. After the announcement, as the employees continued to discuss the new changes, Catherine quietly left the auditorium. But instead of heading back to her office, she did something completely unexpected. She drove to the area where Michael lived, the same place she had secretly watched him the night before. But this time, she wasn't there to spy. Catherine parked in front of the small run-down building and sat for a moment, looking at the building's faded paint and cracked windows. Her mind wandered back to the image of Michael's children eating hungrily, their faces lighting up at the sight of the food he brought home. She had decided to make a difference, but now she felt it was time to take her commitment to another level. Catherine walked up to the door and hesitated. She took a deep breath, then rang the doorbell. When Michael opened the door, his expression was one of surprise. He clearly hadn't expected to see her there. Catherine smiled warmly, a far cry from the stern, businesslike persona she had been known for. "Hi, Michael. I'd like to meet your family if you don't mind." He blinked, caught off guard, but then a smile spread across his face. "Of course, Ms. Reed. Please, come in." As she stepped inside, Catherine was greeted by the sight of Michael's children, eager, curious, and full of energy despite their modest surroundings. Catherine was no longer just an employer. She was a human being who wanted to connect, to understand, and to make things right. For the first time, she realized that business wasn't just about numbers, bottom lines, or profits. It was about the people, the ones who made everything happen. And Catherine Reed had finally learned what truly mattered. The changes Catherine had implemented in the company were met with a mix of surprise, gratitude, and hope. But what happened next was something she hadn't anticipated. The ripple effect of her decisions spread far beyond the walls of the company. Employees who had once struggled to make ends meet began to feel a sense of relief, knowing that their hard work was being recognized in a meaningful way. Michael, who had once barely made enough to provide for his family, found a new sense of pride in his work. He could now focus on doing his best without constantly worrying about how to pay the bills or put food on the table. Word about Catherine's bold move reached the media. Headlines praised her for doing something few CEOs had the courage to do, prioritizing the well-being of her employees over sheer profits. The public's reaction was overwhelming. Some criticized her for taking so long to realize the struggles of her staff, but many more celebrated her courage and integrity. Her actions sparked a broader conversation in the business world about the importance of employee well-being and how companies should consider their workers' quality of life when making decisions. Other CEOs, inspired by her example, began questioning their own policies and started making changes in their companies too. But the biggest impact was within the company itself. As the months went by, Catherine watched as productivity levels improved across the board. Employees were more engaged, motivated, and committed to their work. The company had become not just a place to earn a paycheck, but a place where people felt valued and supported. Catherine had always believed that the key to success was efficiency and hard work. But now she understood that true success came from creating a workplace where people could thrive, not just survive. And as for Michael, his family flourished. The stress of financial instability had lifted, allowing him to focus on what truly mattered, spending quality time with his children and providing them with a future full of possibilities. Catherine knew her journey wasn't over, but she had taken the first step in the right direction. She had learned that success wasn't just about profits, it was about people. And that, she realized, was the most important lesson of all.
Thank you so much for watching the entire video. Your time and attention mean the world to us, and it's amazing to know you stayed until the very end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button to show your support and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to hear what you think and interact with you. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Every like, comment, and subscription helps us keep creating high-quality content and motivates us to bring new videos regularly. Your support truly makes a difference, and we're so grateful to have you here with us.